So lots of crazy stuff happening in Chicago and Portland overnight. As I've done a lot of reporting on Antifa, and I have been assaulted multiple times by Antifa. And what we're going to find out today is that this is their modus operandi. As a matter of fact, my friend Matt Tardio, he's in Portland now, and he's been reporting from the ICE facility there over the last few days. And he ran into another influencer guy named Nick Sordor, who I have vehemently disagreed with in the past, but I have to say that what I see happening to Nick should make any American's blood boil. I'm going to show you him just trying to walk down a public sidewalk near the ICE facility. So check this out. Here, this little Cheeto eater is coming after him. I've got the sound turned down because there's a lot of cursing in this, but all these Antifa people start blocking his way because he's got an American flag. He can't walk down. Now they're surrounding him and they're trying to push him around. You'll see in a minute, they grab his flag and run off, and he has to go and fight to get it back. Here's a Muslim guy that's, who knows if he's even an American citizen, and he's being pushed and shoved, and definitely that is assault. There's no question about it. You can see these little Cheeto eaters here. They're got their masks on. These guys have been doing this for years. Of course, they were doing it during the first Trump administration. They're taking shields, gas masks, goggles, helmets, and sometimes body armor, and weapons, whether they're blunt objects or sharp objects or even the pew-pew kind. It was very common to see them assault people who are doing what they don't want them to do. So these are the people that are calling for the police to be defunded. They don't actually want to defund the police. They just want to become the police. And they like taking over an area and being able to tell regular passersby what they can do, whether they can pass, whether they can film, things that are actual rights guaranteed to us by the Constitution. And that should be prosecuted as kidnapping and assault and everything else. And now we're starting to see that happen. We are going to war because this is not just a bunch of Cheeto eaters that are leaving mommy's basement and coming out and pretending to care about Palestinians or immigrants or anything like that. This is being facilitated and encouraged by politicians. And we're talking about the governors of states now. Jay Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, put out this message. He just said, "I will not call up our National Guard to further Trump's acts of aggression against our people." Keep in mind that ICE agents have not just been randomly assaulting American citizens. They are hunting down illegal aliens inside our country and are attempting to remove them, which was the mandate that President Trump received after the last election. The American people want that to happen. The president not only has to fight violent thugs from Tren de la Aragua or MS-13, he's got to fight these Cheeto eater thugs from Antifa, and then he's also got to fight politicians from the left who are literally calling for this to happen. Now, I just wanted to point out this is going from the top in Illinois down to the police, and the police are being told to stand down and not assist the federal agents. So local police forces, which are under the control of the mayor and the governor, they're being told do not respond when federal agents call for help and are saying, we are surrounded and we're about to get killed, and they won't come. So somebody recorded the radio chatter from Chicago this weekend when we had 2 incidents of angry leftists ramming ICE vehicles. So there's an ICE vehicle on the road. He's got his lights on, and this Suburban, this SUV, comes up and smashes into it and starts pushing this ICE vehicle. Another ICE vehicle comes and tries to box them in so that they can't back up. They run over a bunch of barriers, like those big orange barrels that you see on the side of the road when they're doing road construction. They run over a couple of those and then smash into a semi. And so now there's this wrecked SUV in the middle of the road. There's a wrecked ICE vehicle on the side of the road. There may be injuries. At that moment, they're not quite sure. And they're calling for backup from the local police forces. And here is the report that came in.
Okay. Any kind of particular hairstyle, just younger male Hispanic, on foot, wearing all black?
No hairstyle.
Okay, 10-4. And wanted for the hit and run, this guy fled from the scene at 37th Place in Kedzie. It all started at I-55 in Kedzie. Then they fled southbound at Kedzie, where that offending vehicle crashed. They ran the federal agent off the road. They fled on foot westbound 37th Place from Kedzie. It was a male Hispanic younger wearing all black clothing.
Yes. Away, all right? Have them hold tight until I give you further direction, please. For the Chief of Patrol, clear everybody up. We're not responding over there.
Radio check. And again, per the Chief of Patrol, we have all the units that per 999, Chief of Patrol said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location.
62, we're going to clear out as soon as we can. Spot, we're like locked in over here, so we're going to do the best we can to get out of here as soon as we can.
So I want to show you this app that I found that Antifa is using to coordinate their violent activities. It's called Resist Map, and what they're doing is they're crowdsourcing, okay, where are ICE agents performing stops and arrests? Where are the facilities that we're going to be firebombing tonight? Things like that. It's curated. They have moderators that curate every report and make sure that it's correct. And I don't know how far this goes towards encouraging insurrection or something like that, but it seems to me like they should be able to bring a lawsuit against this and get it shut down, because they're literally coordinating criminal acts against the federal government. Let's just take a look here at a video of what happened over the weekend outside the ICE facility in Portland. If you see the guy in the black cap there, the black baseball cap, he's screaming in the faces of these ICE agents, and they're doing their best to ignore him. And they're just standing there being a human shield. But this guy spits in the face of this policeman. Watch him. Watch, he'll spit in his face here. See that? And as soon as he did, they just, that's an assault. That is an assault. And they took him down and they arrested him. But as you can see, he's resisting arrest, and there are other protesters who are attempting to de-arrest him, or at least did there at the beginning before more agents stepped in. So it takes about 6 agents at least to actually arrest one Antifa thug. And if you need 6 agents to arrest one hooligan because of again, resisting arrest and other comrades of theirs trying to run in and grab their friend and pull him away from the police, then just do the math. There are perhaps 2,000 or 3,000 Antifa thugs outside the ICE facility in Portland on a given night. How many agents do we really need in there? It's not like you can send one police officer for every 10 Antifa if you really want to effectively shut them down. And so that's why the president has called up the National Guard, because they need more bodies. They need more help. The National Guard is authorized under certain circumstances to assist with those kinds of crowd control events. And so there shouldn't be a problem with that. However, we have an activist federal judge, a leftist judge, that blocked President Trump from calling up the Oregon National Guard to go to Portland and said he can't do it. Now, this is an unelected bureaucrat who was appointed for life. She's a leftist, and so she decided she was going to counter President Trump. And we've seen that throughout his second term, whether it's to do with foreign policy, domestic policy, anything. Some federal judge somewhere in Cleveland or Florida or someplace just blocks it. These judges are weaponizing their legal authority as the judicial branch to use those checks and balances to keep our government from running amok. This is what the American people voted for. We would like to see Cheeto-eating thugs dragged away in handcuffs. And we would love it if they faced federal charges. Now, what makes these guys so brazen? That's what a lot of people are asking, because if you're like me, you were raised to respect law enforcement, and you were raised that, hey, getting arrested is a really bad thing. That's like a life-ending thing for people that come from where I come from. You don't get arrested. You're not willing to just go out there and spit in the face of a police officer. But these guys feel empowered to do that. And part of it is that they've never been told no in their entire life. It comes down to bad parenting, without a doubt. But that notwithstanding, it also comes down to the fact that, as I mentioned before, these guys have figured out a way to actually make money by getting arrested. They make money. There's several funds that have been established to pay for their bail and to get them released from jail. Then the leftist district attorney in Portland, who was assisted in his election campaign by George Soros, determines that he's not going to prosecute these guys. And so they go scot-free and get the money back from their bail when the charges get dropped. And that's how they make money on this. Now, what we're seeing Kristi Noem say now is that these guys are going to be charged federally, which means that leftist DA is going to not be able to help them at all. And they will likely go to jail for at least the rest of President Trump's term. If President Trump ends his term and we get another Democrat, all of these Antifa protesters will be immediately pardoned and released. That's just the way it works in America these days. And it's unfortunate, but that's how it goes. Speaking of leftist politicians, here's an attorney general from Minnesota, Keith Ellison, and he's posing proudly with his copy of the Antifa anti-fascist handbook that's written by Mark Bray. Mark Bray is a communist college adjunct professor. He's literally said the only way that we can fix the problem of fascism is to engage in criminal activity, to, by any means necessary, take these people out. And that means up to and including murder. This is Mark Bray. He posted on his X account that because of the bad things that people have been saying to him on X that made his tummy hurt, he's going to now move to Spain to get away from all that. I would venture to say that it has less to do with people making his tummy hurt on X and more to do with the fact that Kristi Noem just announced that they would be levying federal charges against Antifa leadership, because Antifa is an ad hoc organization. If there is anyone who could be called the father of Antifa or the leader of Antifa in America, modern day Antifa, it would be this guy, Mark Bray. And so it's very likely that he will be wearing some steel bracelets here before too long. And so he's trying to get out of the country and perhaps get to some place that won't extradite him back to the United States. Now we're to the point where American politicians are encouraging violence against American citizens and against our law enforcement. So I want to show you on another tweet here. It's a report of one thing that happened over the weekend. This morning, during routine patrolling in Broadview in the same area of Chicago, our brave law enforcement officers were rammed by vehicles and boxed in by 10 cars. Okay, so 10 Antifa thugs came in and parked around ICE vehicles that were in the process of executing lawful search warrants and arresting illegal immigrants and boxed them in. Agents were unable to move their vehicles and exited the car. One of the drivers who rammed the law enforcement vehicle was armed with a semi-automatic weapon. Law enforcement was forced to deploy their weapons and fire defensive shots at an armed U.S. citizen who drove herself to the hospital to get care for gunshot wounds. The armed woman was named in a CBP intelligence bulletin last week for doxing agents and posting online, "Hey to all my gang, let's F with those mother effers. Don't let them take anyone." Thankfully, no law enforcement officers were seriously injured in this attack. Pritzker's Chicago Police Department is leaving the shooting scene and refuses to assist us in securing the area. There's a growing crowd, and we're deploying special operations to control the scene. This is an evolving situation, and we'll give more information as soon as it becomes available. So if you read that and say, yeah, I love seeing that happen in America, you don't love America, because that's the kind of thing that happens in third world countries with tin pot dictators and banana republics. That's not the kind of thing that should be happening in the ostensibly freest country in the world. But these criminals and leftists, but I repeat myself, are weaponizing our very freedoms against us. The very freedom of assembly, the freedom of speech. They would call that driving vehicles and boxing in and ramming federal agents on the street, in a public street, in Chicago, they would call that First Amendment free expression. And it's not. And so it's no wonder the Trump administration is now sending Texas National Guardsmen to Chicago, because the Illinois National Guardsmen are not being allowed to be mobilized to secure their cities. So the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, offered Texas National Guardsmen to go do the job. And so they're going to send them up there. You can bet there will be legal challenges to that, and probably some leftist judge somewhere in Peoria, Illinois or something will issue an injunction that makes it stop. But that's what they're doing for now. And President Trump took some of the California National Guardsmen who were already federalized to stop the crime in San Francisco and is sending them to Portland to beef up security there. Look, there is never a legitimate reason to try to kill or assault our law enforcement officers, not in America. If it gets to the point where that is justified, our country is over. It's done. And these people are pushing it to the brink of that point.